This is the new Volkswagen Tiguan, and I've got the top spec R-Line 195 TSI. So I have seen reports and prototypes out and about of what is believed to be the new high-performance R, but until then, this is the flagship model. And it might as well be the R because the credentials, the specifications are pretty similar to the outgoing R. With the new model, it's based on Volkswagen Group's MQB Evo platform. What does that mean exactly? Well, it's a little bit bigger for starters, 30 millimeters overall, but the wheelbase and the height and everything are pretty much the same. But it does bring in a lot more technology in terms of safety tech, in-car tech, and powertrain technology. Although this specific variant it just carries over the EA888 based 2-litre turbo as before, but there are hybrid options available now. It's also wearing a brand new design. So you've got the full width taillight trim at the back, some chrome detailing around there as well, and this R-Line has the black wheel arch surrounds and an all new front end. It's a more rounded design theme, smarter, perhaps more intelligent, but it's not as kind of edgy as the previous model. I like the previous model with its kind of more square and boxy shape, but yeah, this is going to appeal to a wider market audience, I think. Underneath the bonnet, we've got a 2-litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder engine, 195 kilowatts and 400 newton meters. That's matched up to a 7-speed dual clutch automatic with 4-motion 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Fuel consumption is rated at 8.5 litres per 100 kilometres with 0 to 100 claimed in 5.9 seconds. Pretty decent specs, I would say, considering this is just the R-Line with room for an R to go above this. I suspect the R, if it does eventuate in Australia, it will probably come with the 245 tune of this 245 kilowatt tune of this engine, as with the current Golf R in Australia. With that added length comes extra boot space. So it doesn't have a longer wheelbase, but the boot has grown to around 650 litres. Apparently anyway, it doesn't look that big just looking at it. I mean, it's pretty wide. You've got a nice little shelf there and little pockets down the sides. Space saver spare wheel under the boot floor. I guess you've got a little bit more storage there as well that you could use or put things in the spare wheel. You do have tabs to fold down the rear seats from the back, which is awesome. You don't really get that in this category of SUV. 12-volt socket as well. But yeah, 650 litres, that's pretty much class leading, like the top of the class for this size SUV. Most offer around 500, maybe edge close to 600 litres. This is 650, that's very impressive. You can fold down the rear seats as well to open up more space. They do fold down pretty much completely flat, and you've actually got different adjustment levels for recline for the seat. So pretty much straight up, or you can just recline it right back, which is not always available in this category of SUV. Decent amount of space back here, like my knees are nowhere near the back of the front seat in my seating position. I'm 170 centimeters, but even if I was, a normal height person, my knees say would be there, then the seat would roll back a little bit. You'd still have decent clearance for this category. Got little mobile phone holders there as well, pockets in the backs of both front seats. You've also got split or twin climate vents and twin USB-C charging ports. There's also a flip down armrest with a pull out cup holder tray and a little spot for your iPad or mobile phone. In the middle, the seat back is a bit firmer as you'd expect, or as what you get in most rivals, and the driveline tunnel there does make it a little bit clunky. I can't really put my feet up there. You've got to put them to the side. But yeah, most rivals in this category of vehicle are going to be pretty similar in terms of having space for the middle passenger. I love the way you've got carpet lining for the door pockets, so when you put your bottle in there, it's not going to be rattling and clattering about as you're driving along. Decent trim quality as well. You've got this leatherette soft touch for the armrest, extends to up here as well, Harman Kardon sound system. Most of it feels pretty strong and sturdy. It doesn't feel cheap and nasty, even though it is harder plastic down below, but that's good because that's where everyone's going to be scuffing their feet. And in the front, they've tried to merge the instrument cluster into one seamless panel, but they've got this big new 15-inch screen just stuck on there. It doesn't sort of blend in with the design, in my opinion. I'd rather have this screen embedded into the one panel there. I mean, it does give it a kind of 3D effect, a bit of depth there, so it's separated from the screen, but yeah, I don't know, it just looks like a bit of an afterthought just stuck on. It is a nice new screen though, very responsive. You only need to brush your finger across it once and it just picks up your response straight away. You've also got a wireless phone charger down there, some charging options, and then some cup holders and a center armrest. Push button start, of course, although I don't really like the position of that. It seems like it should be up here next to the gear shifter. So that way you just turn it on and you can rotate the gear shifter around into drive. But anyway, you've got some beeps and bongs there telling me vehicle ready to drive, which of course I'm aware because I just started the car. One thing you will notice compared with the previous Tiguan R is the sound, or lack of. Whereas the previous Tiguan R with its quad outlet exhaust pipes definitely had a bit of a bass and pops and bangs from the tailpipe, whereas this, it's got a bit of a bassy note, but I think it suits R-Line perfectly, just letting you know in case you're stepping out of a previous gen Tiguan R expecting the same sort of experience. This is dialed down a little bit, it's a bit more refined, it's going to suit a wider audience. Decent passenger space in the front as well. You've got these mildly bolstered sports seats, just little hip hugging sections that poke out a little bit, but not too much. They're not going to be uncomfortable in a long trip, but they hold you in the corners, perfectly suitable again for the R-Line badge. Just quickly on the touchscreen, I think it's good that it has this main menu option here with the grid layout for all your typical apps. You do have controls for the temperature control and your volume, but it's a little bit kind of fiddly, and I'd still prefer to have a volume knob over this sort of setup. I mean, it is illuminated now at night time, so that is good. You do have the climate controls down here anyway. You can easily just hit engine recycle, cabin recycle, and as you can see there, I only just touched it and it responds straight away. You've got your main climate control panel here as well, where you can really zoom in and focus on what settings you want. And up the top here, you can turn the stop start off. That just stays there all the time, which is awesome. And then your driver assist system, so you can turn your lane keep assist off if you want to pretty quickly. I think that's a good balance because that's easily accessible. The rules are that you have to push something twice, so that's go into that first and then turn it off. All right, let's take it for a drive and see how it handles, see how it goes as well. We'll do the performance test later on. Now, obviously, this is not going to be as sporty as the previous Tiguan R, but I will try to compare it a little bit because if you're a customer of the previous gen Tiguan R and you are looking to upgrade to the new model, this is the only option for now in terms of, like for like specifications and performance and all of that. But yeah, this is not an R model, so I'll treat it like an R-Line. You've got a few different drive modes to choose from: Eco, Comfort, Sport, and an individual mode, so you can mix and match different settings to suit your preference. But I think the Comfort mode is a good balance because it provides decent response, decent performance, but it's not too sort of sluggish, and it doesn't just jump into the high gears as soon as possible. In terms of economy, I'm averaging 10.5 or 10.6 litres per 100 at the moment, but when I first jumped in, it did actually say 8.5, which is the same as the official rating. I think, well, in my experience with Volkswagen products, you do get pretty close to the official rating in the real world, but I reckon, yeah, expect at least 9 litres per 100 kilometres with extended normal use, or even a bit below that pretty easily. So it does have that kind of Germanic solid feel on the road. It's not that it's too firm or anything, it seems to have decent suspension travel. It's absorbing this pretty ordinary road while providing decent comfort. There are a few rattles in this cabin though, which I'm a little bit surprised to hear from a German brand vehicle. Like, both of the doors have got little rattles going on. I know this road is fairly terrible, but that's why I like testing on it, because it's got a lot of bumps and little ripples and things. You might not be able to see them on camera, but then that sort of uncovers any such rattles and faults. And some vehicles in this class have driven down here with complete silence and smoothness. But the side benefit of that is you've got nicely braced suspension and handling. This does feel quite sporty. I mean, it's not at the level of the previous Tiguan R, but it is definitely a sporty package. You've got paddle shifters behind the steering wheel as well, and you've got the S mode for the transmission, so you've got not just D, but flick it over and you've got S, and that behaves kind of like a more aggressive, or it gives you a more aggressive shift pattern. So already the revs are just sitting at 3000 RPM, ready for me to punch the throttle. And it picks up and goes quite nicely. 400 Newton meters is a reasonable amount for a SUV of this size. this isn't very heavy either. It's about 1,750 kilograms, which, you know, 15, 20 years ago, that's quite heavy for a vehicle of this size. But today, that's actually a fairly low figure, even for an SUV of this size. So you can throw it around a bit. It's got a nice amount of play, but it still has that solid Volkswagen feel. We'll flick it over into the sport mode and see what's what. You can hit the paddles and then you get the manual mode. I'm not sure if it does actually upshift by itself. I'll try that out. Second gear, full throttle. Yeah, it's upshifting by itself. That might change when you turn the stability control off, which I'll do in a second. But again, this is not an R, this is an R-Line, so it can kind of get away with that sort of thing, I think. No one's going to be, or not many people are going to take this to a track day, or not regularly at least. Definitely goes well though. Awesome grip. That 4Motion 4-wheel drive system never slips up. Like, it just provides total reassurance, relentless traction, even when you put your foot down at the midpoint of the corner. Going back down, we'll go to the individual mode, because you've actually got dynamic chassis control, so you can move it all the way up to the highest level of sport if you want to, and then have comfort for everything else. But we can also turn the ESC off completely. You've got a sport mode there as well, so if you just want to have a little bit of slip, you can just leave it in the ESC Sport. But we'll turn it all the way off just to see what happens, see how it responds. I'm sure it's going to be pretty much exactly the same. It's not like it's going to suddenly have all this wheel spin to contend with. Yeah, that feels nicely braced with the suspension, or that DCC turned all the way up to the sport mode. Down through here we've got a few bumps. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, nice. Upshifted by itself then. That's very good though. That's very stable, but also sporty and engaging. I do like the way it's not completely flat. There is a little bit of body movement, but that just means it's more playful. I'm not talking about body roll necessarily. It just feels like, yeah, there's a bit of weight higher up rather than all low down. It just means you can throw it around a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty much a Tiguan R. Just doesn't have the sound of a Tiguan R. I think having this adjustable DCC system is actually really good, especially for this type of vehicle, being a European brand model. The price is pretty high, $71,000 roughly, excluding on-road costs, but at least you are getting extra kit. It just makes it more versatile. I mean, it's not a huge difference between the maximum comfort setting. It's mainly in the finer bumps, so the little ripples and the bumps and so on, little reflectors, yeah, you can feel them. You can feel the finer details in the surface, whereas in comfort mode, it's a bit more relaxed. But it doesn't mean it becomes a real soft, you know, waterbed type feeling. It's actually still fairly sporty. So what do I think overall? Well, although it's not the Tiguan R, I think it does well as an R-Line. It provides pretty much very similar performance and handling credentials as the Tiguan R, but just doesn't go that extra level. And in some ways, it's more practical because of it. So it's not as loud. You can drive to work. It's not, you know, droning exhaust sound and all that. The suspension is not too firm, and you've got that adjustable settings there anyway. I think, yeah, it's a very good balance. Overall, it's probably one of the better mid-size SUVs on the market right now, because it does blend such a broad range of capabilities into one package. It's pretty pricey, like most new vehicles at the moment. Fuel economy is decent, and I do like the way that it is, well, it still has that kind of upright cabin feel, so it's easy to drive. You've got good visibility over the front. I can see over the side mirror. There's a little quarter window there as well, thin A-pillars, and then even around at the back, there's a good view through the rear windscreen. You've also got a comprehensive surround view camera system. I find that it is a little bit pixelated. I know it's, you know, not the brightest of days, but you've got quite a few little pixels there, and you don't have the ability to spin the vehicle around and have a close look at where you're sitting. You've got a few different camera options, but yeah, you know how some new age models or new age brand vehicles, you've got that ability to just rotate the vehicle and just find out exactly where the wheel is sitting in relation to the gutter or whatever. But even so, it is good to have that surround view camera there.